Along the coast, we can expect those temperatures to generally stay in the mid-80s for Charlotte, Lee, as well as Collier counties. And your 7-day forecast showing off quiet conditions as we head into your Friday Cinco de Mayo. Then over the weekend, especially on Sunday, those rain chances will be going up.
As the big spring melt gets underway here in California, all that record-breaking snow from this hellish winter is now posing a flooding threat to low-lying valley communities, with dozens of inches of water packed inside the snow that still sits in the San Bernardino Mountains and the Sierra Nevadas. And as meteorologists learn that California needs to do a much better job of water management in those high mountainous communities that got pummeled with all that snow, there's tons of work left to do.
I've been having to get water from my neighbors, and we put into a trash can. We're force flushing everything.
Kevin Martinez hasn't had gas or water in his home for months, a scar of his hellish winter.
I kept going on the roof and removing snow.
When back-to-back snowstorms buried the San Bernardino Mountains in February and March, residents like Martinez found themselves trapped. The National Weather Service issued its first ever blizzard warning for the area. And across the parking lot, Martinez watched as a building under construction opened up like a flower.
They showed up and turned off the gas right after, and that's when it really started to get bad.
Down the street, Agina Sedler was shocked when the roof of her local grocery store came down.
It was surreal to come here and look through the front doors that I've walked through so many times and see the sky.
She managed to relocate during the storm and watched from a distance as the snow pummeled her home.
My chimney was sheared off at the base of the roof, and all that snow, including the chimney itself, fell onto my deck and completely demolished my entire deck.
So how much repair are you looking at?
I have estimates for my deck for $30,000.
She's far from alone. That's why FEMA and the Small Business Administration are here, part of a newly established disaster relief center, helping residents get the money they need to rebuild.
For homeowners, we offer up to $200,000 to repair or replace physical damage to your home and $40,000 for personal property, anything that's inside the home and your primary car. 2023 was unlike anything we've seen in at least 40 years.
We had 13 atmospheric rivers. So on an average year, we have 4 or 5.
Alex Tardy is a National Weather Service meteorologist. He's keeping track of how much snow still sits on the mountains and, especially in the Sierra Nevadas, how much water is still packed inside.
They still have between 90 and 100 inches of water. Even in the Lake Tahoe area, it's anywhere from 60 to 80 inches of water. So that's an entire season and then some.
Now, as all that snow starts to melt, that water could overwhelm California's infrastructure. In March, the aqueduct carrying water to California's largest city breached, the first time the critical pipeline gave way under severe weather. Now, crews are doing everything they can to reinforce it, but worry it may not be enough.
So it's going to depend highly on the weather pattern. But I would say the southern Sierra Nevada, Yosemite, that general area is where we're going to see the most problems.
Brimming reservoirs may soon need to release water, a spring of flooding valleys, while communities above try to rebuild, including that beloved grocery store.
They're telling the community, hey, we expect to be rebuilt within a year and a half.
While others try to find a new roof of their own.
I'm having to move back down the mountain, unfortunately. I'm gathering whatever money I can so I can get something cheap for my family, because you can't live like this.
And amid the chaos and heartbreak, try to find a silver lining, like harnessing the energy of a community coming together to revitalize a place desperately in need of tourism.
I said from the very beginning to our president at the Chamber of Commerce, this will be the catalyst. You've never seen a fired up group of seniors in your life until you see these people go, and what if, and she's doing that, and you should have seen him. And the energy is just undeniable.
James Packard, Scripps News, Crestline, California.
A planned project in North Fort Myers sparking frustration tonight.
Residents don't care if they develop it as long as they don't come into our community and use our amenities.
We'll explain the fight to keep the public off private roads.
In Golden Gate, law enforcement says it is tracking predators who act inappropriately in front of children. Crime Stoppers explains whether they think this is becoming a trend.
And Habitat for Humanity teaming up with FEMA to get more temporary trailers in Fort Myers after Ian. How soon could you move in? As Fox 4 News at 10 starts now.
Live from Southwest Florida, this is Fox 4 News at 10.
And tonight, some people in one North Fort Myers neighborhood are livid after a developer tells Fox 4 that Lee County leaders have approved letting them use their gated community's road to access land next door that they plan to build on. Thank you for joining us for Fox 4 News at 10. I'm Chris Earl.
And I'm Nadine Yanis. So all of this happening at the Pine Lake Country Club, and that's where we find our Fox 4 Colton Chavez right now with residents. Would they feel like their private roads could soon be a public road, Colton, and they are not happy about this.
Yeah, Nadine, unhappy is probably the best way to categorize that. But these gated communities that are all throughout Southwest Florida, it's really a part of our lifestyle, and it's because of the privacy that it allows the people who live here. But for the people who live here at Pine Lakes Country Club, they say their fear is that public developers are going to be able to access their private roads whenever they want. So tonight, we're going to show you how we think we found a solution or the answer to that fear, but it came during a meeting where we're still trying to figure out why we weren't allowed to film inside.
It's not wide enough for the traffic volume that it would be.
An already crowded road could soon get even tighter, according to Pine Lakes resident Ron Thorson, who points out for us why he says a developer's plan to use their private community roads to build an adjacent community will be problematic.
The first entrance will be right here, and this goes into the property. And so this first entrance is right about here. And obviously it comes in here. In the morning, between 7 and 10 o'clock, there are bikers and walkers and dog walkers and elderly citizens on the roads, golf carts. And this is a busy road just for me as a single vehicle.
The developer, Equity Lifestyle Properties, owns Pine Lakes Country Club and are the ones who plan to build the second manufactured home community in the empty plot of land you see here. Tuesday night, they held an informational meeting at the North Fort Myers Rec Center to update the many upset community members you see all dressed in green. Fox 4 was allowed in the lobby, but Lee County Public Information Officer Betsy Clayton said our cameras were not allowed to record what happened inside a public meeting, where residents like Ron said they would ask developers.
So we're asking simply, who owns the roads?
Pushing for answers, I was able to speak with Anna Sutton, Equity Lifestyle Properties Land Development Manager. Sutton declined to go on camera, but says it's her company, Equity Lifestyle Properties, that owns the roads that would be used. Sutton showed me this map. She says it shows 3 entrances the Lee County Board of Commissioners approved. Under that plan, they are accessed by driving through Pine Lakes.
Once again, residents don't care if they develop it as long as they don't come into our community and use our amenities, use our roads and use our amenities.
And Sutton tells me tonight that they're still in the beginning phases of this project. That's why she said they held this meeting earlier tonight. She also tells me that in order to move forward, they have to meet not only with local departments, but also state departments like FDOT as well before any of this work can be done. Live in North Fort Myers tonight, Colton Chavez, Fox 4.
Of course, we will follow through for you on this one, Colton. Thank you. Also new this hour, the Lee County Sheriff's Office has arrested the man they say followed a 13-year-old girl home from her bus stop and tried to kiss her. Deputies say 33-year-old Edinson Ortega first approached the girl last Thursday morning in the San Carlos Park area, asking if she had a boyfriend. They say the girl became frightened and walked home, but that Ortega followed her inside, asking if he could kiss her. Deputies say the girl told him that people were inside the home and that there were cameras there too, and that's when he took off. He's now being charged with lewd and lascivious behavior. And that is not the only case here in Southwest Florida where a man has acted inappropriately in front of a child. Right now, Crime Stoppers is searching for this Lee County man. His name, Christian Chinchilla, who they say touched himself in front of a young girl 3 separate times over the course of a month. 3 separate girls, I should say. Now, they say the first time it happened at a bus stop at Orange River Boulevard and Palm Lane. The next was at a CVS off Lee Boulevard, as you see here. And the most recent also happening at a bus stop in Lehigh Acres, right off of Terry Avenue North and 67th Street West. That's where Fox 4's Caitlin Knapp is asking tonight if these types of incidents are now becoming a trend here in Southwest Florida.
We need to all make sure that we're looking out for our kids. So
Trish Rout with Southwest Florida Crime Stoppers says she also wants everyone to look out for this man, Christian Chinchilla.
He's pulling up to young girls and committing very lewd acts in front of them.
Since November, she says the sexual predator did this near young girls 3 different times. And while 2 of them waited for the school bus, Rout says the description of the suspect and his car led detectives to the sex offender database and to Chinchilla.
Fortunately, in these 3 instances, the victims all did the right thing and they told this trusted adult about what happened.
And what happened, investigators say, recently occurred in other parts of our area too. Just last month, a similar case in Golden Gate. The Collier County Sheriff's Office says 2 different suspects in 2 of the cases, but almost the exact same scenario. And in San Carlos Park, a man's accused of approaching a girl at a bus stop, following her inside to her home, and asking her inappropriate questions. He was arrested days later.
That these are happening in the broad daylight hours.
As to why, she says, it could have to do with more people moving here, increasing the likelihood of predators. But she says,
we as adults are doing a better job at talking to our young daughters about strangers.
Meaning more kids could be reporting these incidents, causing more cases to come to light. Cases like Chinchilla's.
If you've seen him kind of scouting around your area, you need to have this conversation, especially with your young daughters.
She says Chinchilla is still on the run, and detectives believe he's still in the area.
I think anytime that you have an adult male that is preying on young female girls in a lewd way like this, we all need to be on alert.
Yeah, that was Caitlin Knapp reporting. As she just mentioned, there were also similar cases in Golden Gate last month. The Collier County Sheriff's Office there says there are 2 different suspects they are still searching for tonight. You can find more information on our website at fox4now.com.
A new law making changes to the death penalty in Florida is likely to get in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. The potential Supreme Court challenge comes after Governor Ron DeSantis signed a law set to take effect on October the 1st, which would make sexual battery of a child under 12 a capital crime. The bill's Democratic sponsor is a sexual assault survivor herself. She calls this justice. But back in 2008, the U.S. Supreme Court said crimes like rape were not eligible for the death penalty for a sentence unless the victim died.
We think that that decision was wrong. We think that in the worst of the worst cases, the only appropriate punishment is the ultimate punishment.
Florida is now the only state in the U.S. where a convicted child rapist can be sent to death row.
Well, a motorcyclist is dead after a crash in Bonita Springs this morning. That happened around 7 o'clock on Old US 41, right near Bonita Drive. Florida Highway Patrol says a pickup truck driver turned left in front of that motorcyclist. It then crashed into the right side of that truck. Troopers say that 25-year-old motorcyclist died on the scene.
And several schools across Florida also took fake phone threats today, known as swatting calls. Here in our area, Fort Myers police responding to a call at Southern Technical College this morning. And minutes later, another call at Cape Coral Technical College, along with FIU, Palm Beach Atlantic, Indian River State College, all taking these fake calls throughout the morning about an active shooter. Investigators have not confirmed if the calls are all related. And now take a look at this demonstration video rather, from a contracting company in Louisiana, which shows the process of lifting up a home. That same company, Davy Shoring, will be lifting a home on Sanibel Island tomorrow. Lifting homes is part of a new FEMA guideline that requires homes at Sanibel to be placed about a foot above sea level. And the company says doing this, lifting a home, is about a third of the cost versus renovating the home to those new codes.
Well, the Little Pine Island Bridge is closer to being completely replaced after a vote this morning by the Lee County Board of Commissioners. This comes 7 months after Hurricane Ian damaged the bridge so badly it had to go temporary repairs. Well, the board will now ask the Florida Department of Transportation to fully replace the bridge and its seawalls. If approved, it would cost $7.6 million. Construction would start next April after the Easter holiday and would take about 8 months to complete.
Take a look at these photos and see if you know anyone who might be in this. The Lee County Sheriff's Office says deputies found these pictures amid hurricane debris near Galt Island Avenue in St. James City more than 7 months after Hurricane Ian. And they're hoping to reunite the pictures with the people. If you know someone here, leave a comment on the Lee County Sheriff's Office Facebook page.
Yeah, pretty incredible there. Well, still ahead, the need for temporary housing. It's still great 7 months after Ian. So many people still homeless, Chris.
And we're in Fort Myers that more trailers will soon be going up, and also how soon people who need them could move in.
Plus, the city of Naples has placed more than 37,000 tons of sand along their shorelines. How far the emergency sand dune project has come as the next hurricane season fast approaching, Katie.
And despite a cold front coming through, Nadine, you won't need that rain gear tomorrow. Partly cloudy skies for the morning into the afternoon as we climb into the mid-80s. Coming up, we'll take a look at how that cold front could impact you, and we're timing wet weather arriving this weekend.
Time is getting a bit tight for better shelter with hurricane season now just a month away. Many still need temporary housing like this after Hurricane Ian took out their homes.
But now Habitat for Humanity is leasing 24 acres of its property right here in the Heritage Heights part of Harlem Heights. This working with FEMA to bring in more trailers to Fort Myers. As Fox 4's Elise Chingari reports, FEMA says people will be able to move in about 60 days.
Construction starting this week, and it should take about 60 days to get all of the sites prepared and get the trailers in and ready to get some applicants in.
And when it comes to the applications,
the application period for this disaster is over. So we have identified people who still need disaster housing, and those people have been notified and they will be notified, and we'll keep continuing to reach out to them just to make sure that they're still in need of housing.
Habitat for Humanity said 58 families will live in the FEMA trailers and that it's temporary housing.
We still own this land, and in the future, when the temporary housing is complete and this project is complete, we will build single family and townhomes for families in need who make between 30 and 80% of the area median income. So one day this will be a habitat community that will develop.
I had plenty of questions for FEMA. Some went unanswered as to where are the trailers and if families are already assigned. Do they know they will be living here and getting housing? We did get an answer from FEMA late this evening, and FEMA only wrote us that FEMA Direct Housing Program runs for 18 months from the date of the declaration, so until March 2024. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers did offer more context for us.
We're executing a construction contract for FEMA for a temporary group site, 58 units with a construction duration roughly about 60 days. The contract was awarded around 18 of May, and we look to finish on or about June 20th, depending on supply issues and or the weather. That may push us out a little bit, but we're shooting to get everything done by the 20th of June.
And that was Elise Chingari reporting. Meanwhile, the city of Naples is preparing for the next hurricane season by strengthening its shorelines with tons of sand, as you see here. So far, crews have placed more than 37,000 tons of sand to beaches south of Loudermilk Park, all the way to the Naples Pier. Now the focus is on Loudermilk Park to Doctors Pass. Building these emergency sand dunes will act as a first line of defense during potential storm surge in the next storm.
And now take a look at some of the Skyfox drone video from this morning at J.C. Park in South Cape Coral. Our crews were out there early this morning. It's about 9:30, getting some of the video of what the park looks like before the major improvements get done. But it was a glorious Tuesday morning to take it all in. Now look at some of the blueprints for the proposed improvements at J.C. Park. And you can see lots of plans here for all sorts of visitors, an upgraded playground and splash pad, and lots of open lawn space with room for a stage for live music. Also room for a food truck court that could fit up to 6 trucks. Yum. City leaders are also talking about these proposals during tomorrow's council meeting.
I heard that yum, Chris.
I was a little late, a little hungry.
It's all good.
It's fine, but you look at what a great day, though, it was for anybody who might have been able to get outside, could do a beach walk, could be out there rollerblading. I was talking about that earlier, but it was a great day to do whatever fits.
A cooler start and even a cooler end as we bring in certified meteorologist Katie Walsh. It's so interesting because now that we're in May, so many of our seasonal residents going back home, but why would you want to leave? I mean, the weather has been absolutely perfect right now.
Not when you see this storm system behind me, Nadine. It's a nearly stationary talk about late winter, right?
Yeah, wow.
Heavy snow from Lake Superior down to the Appalachians, where we actually have some of those winter storm warnings in effect for parts of West Virginia, where I'm from, picking up some heavy snow there. So we are seeing a stubborn winter storm that just is barely moving at this point for parts of the Mid-Atlantic into the Northeast. And for us, it is the complete opposite. We are enjoying beautiful conditions for those of you heading out right now or heading out tomorrow for that matter. Nice, quiet weather overall. We had some fair weather cumulus this afternoon, but overall conditions have been nice and quiet. We have some of these clouds streaming in from the south and west, but overall these are tranquil clouds. We do have a stationary front just toward our north. Now, as we head into tomorrow, this front will get a little bit of momentum behind it, and as it does so, it will be heading southward and it's going to be passing through. It's going to move through dry. We'll have a little bit of cloud cover with it, but it will be doing is reinforcing those lower dew points and more comfortable humidity. So again, here we are looking live right now. Temperatures in Fort Myers, 76 degrees. Dew point, the measure of moisture in the air, in the mid 60s. This time tomorrow night, these dew points will be about 10 degrees cooler. Right? Mark my words. We're going to be seeing those dew points this time tomorrow in the 50s. You will feel those changes behind that little front as it moves through. Now, temperatures today, we started off right on target for this time of year at 67. Afternoon highs climbing toward 85. So technically today, below average. So that's a bit of a change up compared to what we have been seeing, especially as of late. But we'll have this little cold front come through tomorrow. Overall, though, a fairly weak front expected, and it's what we call a dry cold front. It's going to be passing through without any rain, so no reason to grab that rain gear. Then behind it, that drier air, lower dew points. It's going to be feeling quite comfy by tomorrow evening heading into your Thursday. And peek ahead to the Cinco de Mayo. I know a lot of folks have celebration plans for your Friday, staying hot and dry. It's not until Sunday that I'm increasing those rain chances based upon some of that latest data. But bringing you the latest hour by hour as that front comes in. Partly cloudy skies, a little bit more cloud cover expected tomorrow as that front comes through. But other than the cloud cover, you're really not going to be noticing much in the way of change. You'll feel the wind shift. You also feel them pick up. It will be a bit breezy for the afternoon. We'll see some gusts 20 to 25 miles per hour once that front comes through your neighborhood. That's really the main change. That's really the biggest thing that you'll notice as that front comes in, and those winds out of the northwest helping to drive in that cooler and drier air. But overall, tomorrow shaping up great for outdoor plans. Overnight tonight, ahead of that front, a little stickier. We'll start off around 69 degrees, partly cloudy skies tomorrow morning. Heading into the afternoon, staying partly cloudy with those highs climbing into the mid 80s. And with that drier air in place, the next couple of mornings, Thursday into Friday morning, starting off cooler in the mid 60s. And then we're right back to the lower 90s by Friday afternoon. Next chance for storms arriving for Sunday into the start of next week.
Thanks, Katie. It's hard to forget or even shake off that early wake-up call so many of us took a couple weeks ago when an emergency alert test went out at about 4:30 a.m. to nearly all of our phones. Still ahead, how much longer the state of Florida will be working with the company it claims was responsible for the mishap.
Well, the State Department of Emergency Management has extended its contract with Everbridge. That is the company in charge when those emergency alert texts went out at 4:30 in the morning 2 weeks ago. I'm sure we all remember that. Well, instead of firing Everbridge immediately, the state of Florida still has a contract with the company through June 1st, and the state has decided to go ahead and extend that contract through the end of the year. But emergency management says that they are already looking for a new company. And last month's emergency alert mishap has led to some people just going ahead and turning off those warnings altogether. But recent Palm Beach County tornadoes on the other side of our state, even here in Charlotte County, are a good reminder that although these tests might be loud, they are critically important to your safety.
Because life-saving measures are always crucial. Dave Bowman with our Scripps station, WPTV in West Palm Beach, took a look at the challenges of warning all of us about sudden storms.
No one ever called northern Palm Beach County Tornado Alley, but those who had a brush with the tornadoes Saturday say they weren't prepared for what happened next.
80-year-old Jim Mondello loves fast cars.
I like to hear the sound of that motor pumping up in the street.
But Jim learned of the weekend tornado popping at the edge of his property less than a minute after a call from a friend.
Jim, are you okay? There's a tornado coming right over your house. I said, what are you talking about?
Others question the warning system's effectiveness. One viewer tells us on Facebook, no alert on either of our phones in Tequesta. Another writing, I received one and my husband didn't.
So Florida is much better positioned than most states due to the frequency of emergencies.
Steve Davis is a nationally known expert on emergency alerts. He defends Florida's system, but worries about those who reacted to that accidental early morning alert earlier this month that woke up much of Florida. They reacted by disabling their cell phone's emergency alerts.
Those alerts can be lifesavers. If you live near an area that's had a train derailment with a toxic cloud, an active shooter, a tornado.
As he worked on his cars, Jim Mondello admitted he did get a tornado warning alert.
Well, no, I heard it on my cell phone. They warn you on a cell phone. I never looked at it.
Jim Mondello never thought of disabling the emergency notices on his cell phone, but he says the next time he receives a weather-related one, he'll pay attention.
Still ahead, controversial immigration reform heading to Governor Ron DeSantis' desk, and this does not even go as far as he wanted.
So what is in the bill that Republicans say is meant to clamp down on a migrant crisis, but Democrats are calling it inhumane? We'll be right back.
I feel the need to remind you that immigrants are people.
We have to do what we can at the state level to make sure that our state is not a magnet.
Florida Democrats disappointed as a Republican supermajority passes immigration reform, now onto the governor's desk for signature.
Just how far the bill goes as Fox 4 News at 10 continues.
Live from Southwest Florida, this is Fox 4 News at 10.
The sweeping immigration reform package Republicans call passed the bill today, calling it a necessary state response to a federal crisis. Thank you for joining us tonight. I am Chris Earl, but this despite those some in the opposing Democratic Party calling this inhumane.
Yeah, so Capitol reporter Forrest Saunders explains why, despite that, it still doesn't go as far as the governor first wanted.
Florida's GOP supermajority,
83 yeas, 36 nays, Madam Speaker.
Show the bill passes.
Delivered another win for the governor Tuesday. His immigration package now ready for signature after 90 minutes of debate on the House floor.
I feel the need to remind you that immigrants are people.
This bill will now put Florida on offense.
The policy does a lot. Higher penalties for knowingly transporting or hiring undocumented. E-Verify screening for new hires if a business has 25 or more employees. It invalidates law degrees and out-of-state driver's license for undocumented and requires hospitals to collect immigration status. Plus, $12 million more tax dollars for the state's migrant relocation program. It moves undocumented from Florida or other states, relocating them to sanctuary spots.
I'm very, it's a double-edged sword.
The bill personal for the House sponsor who lost her son during a traffic collision with an undocumented driver.
My heart is broken because I know that, like my son, their families, their children won't come back. But hopefully this bill will help prevent other families from enduring what we have.
For other Republicans, the policy is a state response to what they consider a national crisis.
We have to do what we can at the state level to make sure that our state is not a magnet once these people do cross these borders that are left wide open.
Democrats call this bill overly vague and a political attempt to further the governor's future endeavors.
Because it is a federal issue. So why do states like Florida and Texas insist on trying to stick their noses into it? I think the reason that they do that is because they're hoping to score votes with conservative voters.
And then there are migrants like Thomas Kennedy.
It's inhumane, it's cruel.
The Argentinian, who was undocumented for a time, considers the policy heartless and dangerous to a population seeking a better life.
Most people are just good people, they're hardworking, they're trying to provide and love their families, and it's painful.
He and other critics now vow to keep up opposition to the changes as the governor readies those felt pens for signature. At the Capitol, I'm Forrest Saunders, Fox 4.
And keeping it in Tallahassee, a new bill is keeping Florida's Department of Transportation one step closer to having authority to inspect Walt Disney World's monorail system. Republican lawmakers in the Senate gave approval to the bill, doing just that earlier today. So it now heads to the final step in the House, and then it goes to the governor's desk, which he is expected to sign. And not only will the state take over inspections with this bill, it will also require the monorail to adhere to the same protocols as other transportation systems in the state. Though critics suggest Disney already exceeds those standards, the changes do come after the entertainment company spoke out against a controversial state education law from last year. Democrats consider the bill improper retribution. Republicans say they're trying to protect people.
When I go to Disney with my family, because I do love Disney, I want to make sure when I'm on the monorail that monorail is safe.
What do we want out of Disney? Because they do so much for this state, and now we're just going to say, no, every year we're going to tick away a little bit more.
So Disney is currently suing the governor and the new state oversight board in federal court for violating its First Amendment rights. Yesterday, state officials announced a countersuit in state court. Meanwhile, the bill invalidating Disney's agreement with the old Reedy Creek board that essentially took power away from the current board did not get a vote today. The House is, though, expected to take that up tomorrow.
A bill that would limit auto glass repair lawsuits is heading to the governor's desk. The Florida House approved the bill today with wide support on both sides. Among the provisions, a ban on assignment of benefits in auto glass claims. Those AOBs allow repair shops to file insurance claims and collect the payments without the policyholder's involvement. And those supporting the bill say this practice drives up the auto insurance costs for everyone. Auto shops would also be banned from incentivizing repair claims.
This measure will help fight fraud and litigation and hopefully move auto insurance premiums in the right direction. This bill puts consumers in the driver's seat. If your business is predicated by filing lawsuits, you should probably be a lawyer and not an auto glass installer.
Once the governor signs the policy, it would take effect immediately.
Well, the Florida House also passed a bill that would prevent banks from tracking someone's gun or ammunition purchases through their digital information. Democrats say if tracking can prevent even one mass shooting, Florida should consider it, not forbid it. Republicans say the bill is needed, though, to prevent an invasion of privacy.
Governor DeSantis also signed a new bill into law today to allow for loan and investment approvals to be given without looking at ESG scores. The ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. The governor says those three factors are used to impose an ideology on people. An independent agency gives the scores to companies based on their role in the community. This not only makes it so banks don't use ESG, it also prevents state and local governments from using it when picking contractors. The governor says any bank still using ESG will no longer be able to hold Florida's money.
Well, the State Department of Children and Families is currently reevaluating 5.5 million Medicaid accounts to determine who still qualifies and who needs to be removed.
And we're seeing this all over the country, state by state. This comes a month after the benefits enacted at the height of the pandemic expired, and now the impacts are being seen.
So Vanessa Ariza with our Scripps sister station WFTX in Tampa spoke with an expert whose organization is working to help those who may fall in this medical limbo. Also speaking to a mother who says her and her child were dropped from Medicaid without warning.
So you can see where I'm Medicaid and they're just enrolled.
The past 24 hours have been a nightmare for Liz Adams. In that time, she found out her two kids were dropped from Medicaid. The news also came a day before her 7-year-old son, Brian, was set to have a biopsy procedure. He's currently in remission for leukemia.
I'm mad. I am mad. I do not understand how they can do this to a child. That is why I called you guys.
Adams tells us she never got a letter, a call, or any other form of communication from DCF about being dropped or the potential of. She's used Medicaid for 7 years for her children and says while they were dropped, she still has coverage. Now she needs it more than ever with a sick child and says she's getting nowhere.
No one else I can talk to, not even the doctor's offices, can do anything. They're like, we can tell them that it's absolutely necessary that he needs medical treatment, but we can't make them give you your insurance back.
Katie Roders Turner is hoping she can help people like Adams. She's the executive director for Family Healthcare Foundation. She and her staff help those who are now in uncharted territory with the redetermination regulations of Medicaid.
This is something that we've never had to experience before.
Thanks to a partnership with the Children's Board of Hillsborough County, more staff has been added to help navigate Medicaid applications or what other resources are available if a person is no longer eligible for the free health care.
Family Healthcare Foundation navigators will help with Florida Medicaid, Florida Kid Care, the Health Insurance Marketplace, or the Hillsborough County Healthcare Plan, or connect them to other resources that'll help with safety net services.
If you're afraid of being in Medicaid limbo, Turner strongly recommends updating your contact information in DCF's Access account and any mail from the department. If you prefer a one-on-one, you can find help at any one of the 7 Children of Hillsborough County locations. As for Adams, she will continue to fight for her children and their coverage.
A 15-year-old girl is dead after a horseback riding accident in Venice over the weekend. The U.S. Equestrian Federation says Hannah Surfass from Webster was riding her horse in a class at the Foxley Farm Spring Concourse on Sunday when the horse tripped and fell. Hannah died at a nearby hospital. The horse was uninjured. The Federation says it will be reviewing the incident to learn what it can do to increase safety moving forward.
Also, a father and son vacationing in Manatee County were rescued after being swept from the shore. Manatee Sheriff's Office Marine deputies capturing the incident on camera that happened back on April 23rd. 23rd. Now, the man and his young son were swimming off of Anna Maria Island when strong rip currents carried them away. Now, rescuers do want to remind people to use caution when in the ocean, but if you do get caught up in that rip current, remain calm because fighting it does make it worse. You always want to swim parallel to the shore as well to move out of that current.
Florida Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz says he will be filing charges against a woman who allegedly threw a drink at him on Saturday. According to a report from the Walton County Sheriff's Office, this happened at a wine festival. The report says Selena Chambers and another woman were cursing at Gaetz and his family. And the Republican from the Panhandle said Chambers then threw a drink, which hit him in the left shoulder. A man who was talking to Gaetz at the time also claims a drink hit him. Chambers, though, said that she was walking and tripped and spilled her drink on the congressman. She is charged with 1 count of misdemeanor battery and 1 felony count of battery on an elected official. She pled not guilty. Sea turtle nesting season's officially underway, with some nests here in Southwest Florida already discovered.
I am a Florida native and still have never seen these little guys up close and personal. But what you can do to keep them safe, and always a great reminder this time of year.
And also not the only wildlife that we're also watching, as some advocates are also trying to ensure that manatees get protected after their status changed 6 years ago in Florida.
Severe drought conditions continue here across Southwest Florida, but we do have another opportunity for some wet weather. Not for a few days, though, not until the weekend. That means there could be some impacts to your weekend plans. We'll talk more about that coming up.
Well, we are just 2 days into the new sea turtle nesting season. Already nests are popping up here in Southwest Florida, but wildlife leaders across Florida are using this as a reminder for you to do your part to make sure that we keep these sea creatures safe.
JJ Burton from our Scripps station WFTX in Tampa shows us how one hotel is becoming a real role model to ensure the nesting season for the sea turtles is a success.
Protecting sea turtles, especially during nesting season, is priority here at Winter the Dolphins Beach Club.
It's not just about straws and plastic bottles anymore. We've gone way beyond that.
The Director of Sales and Marketing, Julie Norberg, showed me exactly what they've done. Like the sea turtle friendly lighting. You can see here in the outside hallways, they have lights like this. The amber red lighting, which sea turtles can't see. The lights also have bigger covers over them, so the light is focused in that particular area. And on the outside of the building, the windows have blue tints over them.
That way the sea turtles aren't going to actually come up from the beach. They're going to stay with their little sea nestlings. They're going to stay in their nest.
Yvette Fernandez, the senior sea turtle biologist for Clearwater Marine Aquarium, says locals and tourists have to do our part to protect sea turtles as well, especially with so many new Florida residents.
We share the beach with them, so this is their environment. So it's very important that we keep our beaches clean, free of obstacles.
That means pick up your trash before you leave. And beach furniture should not be left out overnight, filling in the holes in the sand and knocking down any sand castles. All of those obstacles can spell trouble for mama sea turtles and their eggs.
They're looking for a flat area to nest. And if they encounter something, especially the females can get spooked really easily, and that can deter them from nesting. And for hatchlings, because they're so small, they can either find the sandcastle or even the hole, and they can get trapped in the hole.
There are signs like these posted up throughout our Bay Area beaches explaining what to do if you see a sea turtle or their hatchlings in distress, and numbers to call for help. If you are caught damaging a nest or harming sea turtles, you could be arrested.
It's very important that we follow the laws.
Sea turtle nesting season runs through October 31st. NCMA says they've already discovered their first nest, a promising discovery days before the official start of the season.
Conservation groups say that they're also planning to sue federal wildlife officials for not doing enough to protect manatees in recent years. 4 different groups filed a notice to sue U.S. Fish and Wildlife after a November petition urging the agency to reclassify manatees from threatened to endangered. We've reported on manatee deaths, especially in Southwest Florida in recent years, as they are listed as threatened, often dying from starvation, red tide algae, and boat strikes. Their legal protections got reduced in 2017. A number of environmental groups are also suing the FAA over the failed SpaceX Starship rocket launch back on April the 20th. The Center for Biological Diversity, among others, said the FAA did not fully consider the environmental ramifications of the Starship program. They're calling on the FAA to stop SpaceX launches. The first test flight of the Starship ended with an explosion after the rocket went out of control. U.S. Fish and Wildlife also reporting debris from the doomed rocket scattered over nearly 400 acres.
So last night, we showed you this video of a car being flipped over into the air on Saturday by that tornado that touched through Palm Beach Gardens. Well, listen to this. A man and his dog were inside this car. Amazingly, they both made it out alive, and tonight that man is describing those terrifying moments.
When the car started to flip, I do remember kind of like a flash of seeing the airbag go off and the glass break. But then, we were back upright and I was just sitting there with my hands on the wheel, and it seemed to happen basically instantaneously. The storm obviously was, had serious force, and, I'm lucky, my dog's lucky, everybody's lucky that, everybody walked away unscathed.
Now, that tornado began near I-95 and crossed over busy A1A. Again, on the other side of our state, the National Weather Service confirms it was an EF2 twister with winds up to 130 miles per hour.
I got through a derecho 3 years ago. We had about 140 miles per hour, lasted about 10, 15 minutes. Absolutely terrifying. I mean, every syllable was correct from what he said there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also had our own little stretch of severe weather, a tornado actually touching down here over the weekend. Let's go ahead and bring in certified meteorologist Katie Wells. Things thankfully calming down, but we have another string of storms that are expected later on in the week, right?
That's right. So heading into Sunday, but at least for now, this cold front that we will be tracking, not producing anything strong or severe as it works its way southward for tomorrow. So no worries for any sort of wet weather. You can leave that rain gear at home. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies are expected. So as we look outside right now, conditions nice and quiet from the bay front in. We are enjoying those partly cloudy skies, and overall conditions are quiet. For those of you heading out tonight, heading into tomorrow, everything is going to be on the quiet side even as this front comes through. It will be breezy, though, as the front comes through. You'll certainly feel those winds picking up. 20 to 25 mile per hour wind gusts are expected. But another perspective from the Luminary Hotel in downtown Fort Myers, again, conditions are on the quiet side. We're at 76 degrees. Humidity is sitting at 67%. So a bit of a boost there with that extra moisture content ahead of that front. But behind that front, we'll be feeling a nice respite. This time tomorrow night, those dew points will be dropping into the 50s, and they will stay on the comfortable side looking ahead to your Thursday as well. Now, overall today, your almanac shakes out like this: 67 this morning, up to 85 this afternoon. So we were running a few degrees below average. That said, temperatures still felt pretty comfortable out there. So your weather headlines: we do have that cold front tomorrow. No rain, though, expected. Behind that front, dry air, and those lower dew points are forecast tomorrow evening heading into Thursday. And then looking ahead to your Cinco de Mayo on Friday, I know there are a lot of celebrations going on. Hot and dry conditions will be back to the low 90s by Friday afternoon, and it's not until later this weekend that will reintroduce the chance for rain. That said, we could use some rainfall considering that we do still have those severe drought conditions in effect. But as we take a look at for tomorrow morning, right here at 7 a.m., notice a mix of clouds and sun as that front approaches. It's going to be kind of a muggier start ahead of that front, but midday that front comes through behind it. Partly cloudy skies. Those winds start to pick up out of the northwest, gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour. Other than that, though, that front will be passing through without much fanfare, really just bringing us more of a respite from the heat and humidity. So we have that to look forward to as we look ahead to this time tomorrow into Thursday. Overnight tonight, though, partly cloudy. We'll start off tomorrow morning around 69 degrees. High temperatures tomorrow climbing into the mid-80s. Winds out of the northwest 15 to 20 miles per hour. Could see some higher wind gusts in the afternoon directly behind that cold front. And then as we look ahead to your 7-day forecast, notice those temperatures gradually warming each and every day. But one thing that front will be doing, dropping back those morning lows Thursday into Friday into the mid-60s. Then we're back to the lower 90s by Friday afternoon, and over the weekend, again, best chance for showers and storms based upon the latest data arriving on Sunday, heading into the start of next week.
Still ahead on Fox 4 News at 11. Some people in one gated community in North Fort Myers want answers now from developers. And a project has them very concerned that their community, their roads, will no longer be just for them.
Plus, the search for a man who touched himself inappropriately in front of young girls, plural, in Lehigh Acres is now underway. But that's not the only incident involving law enforcement and what they say child predators. We'll explain on Fox 4 News at 11.